So I want to learn all about millennial women.
Yeah.
All right. What's important to you?
I think what's important to me is that, like, people are happy. And I think, especially when it comes to women, I think there's differences from our parents' generation on views on dating and financially what we can afford. Housing prices have gone up by like 1,000% since the 70s. Yeah. And so growing up, I grew up in a very conservative town. A lot of my friends, their goal was to be married and to stay at home. And then as adults, a lot of them had to reckon with, well, wait a second, we can't afford a house unless we have two people working full time. So I think a big struggle for millennial women and millennial men is figuring out, well, financially, what can we afford from the dream we're told? Can we afford to have a house? Can we afford to have kids? Can we afford for one person to stay home, or do both need to work? Do both people want to work? And so there's kind of like questions of what's a woman's role, and there's also questions of what is realistically affordable from this dream. Yeah.
And so, what type of man you look for?
For me, it's really about having equality and respect in the relationship. So I want someone who sees me as an equal. And personally, I like working. I don't want to be stay at home.
You don't?
No, not for me. I'm like, I'd rather answer emails than clean diapers, personally.
Really?
Yeah. My cat is my child, and I know that's weird.
That's amazing. And so you want to be able to go to work.
Yeah.
Ask your husband that. Well, if you're married, ask your husband.
Yeah.
Ask he go to work.
Yeah, he goes to work.
Would you want to have children?
I'm not sure. It's something that I'm kind of on the fence about. When I was younger, I really wanted to have kids. And at this point in my life, I kind of have these other dreams. Like, I had my book come out. I want to do more creative things. And so it's kind of a hard struggle of like, how do I want to spend my time?
So would you ever get married knowing that you don't want to be home? You're not sure about children. Would you ever get married?
I would love to get married. Yeah.
Would it be possible to find a man that is going to allow you to go to work?
Yes. So my current partner is very comfortable with my goals. But I have had trouble in the past with, men who maybe don't like that I enjoy work, and they, we don't have the same goals, basically.
When you say a partner, you mean your husband?
No, we've dated for 5 years, but we're not married.
Oh, your boyfriend?
Yeah, my boyfriend.
Why do you call it partner rather than boyfriend?
I like the word partner because it feels more serious than boyfriend. And since we've been together for 5 years, we're not married, but we want to get married at some point. So it feels more serious than boyfriend.
But boyfriend, girlfriend sound normal. Partner sound like a gay relationship.
Oh, we're not a gay relationship. So.
So why not call it the normal way? My boyfriend.
I could say boyfriend. It feels less serious, while partner feels like someone who's like equal and like going to be with you a long time in life. Like you're traveling on the same path.
Really?
Yeah.
And so if you were to marry this guy, would you call him your partner or your husband?
Probably husband.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank God. And will you change your last name to his name?
I don't think so. I like my last name, and so it's kind of just like a preference.
Really?
But it's not, I think my view is kind of like anyone. I have 2 principles that I live by, which are treat others the way you want to be treated and mind your business. So if someone else wants to change their last name to their husband's last name, that's good for them. For me, it's not.
Really? Does he know that you would not want to change your last name?
Yeah, he's okay with it.
But you would belong to him. You would no longer belong to your parents or anyone. You would be his. Mm-hmm. Why not be one with him? Identify with him and be one with him.
For me, I don't see that as like, I see being one with him as like a choice we make with each other. I don't see it as I don't see it as determined by my name.
Really? So most millennial women think this way? I know you don't know all of them, but most women think this way?
Most of them probably want to take their husband's last name.
Oh, most women want to?
Yeah, I think that's probably more normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you go the normal way?
Because because I like, I'm a writer, and so I kind of want to have my work under my name.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So why even bother to get married?
For me, marriage is just one closer way that we can say that we're partners and that we're kind of, again, on this journey through life. So I kind of see marriage as a more serious commitment than just dating.
What the? And so would you said that you're equal to him?
Yes.
How are you equal to him? He's a man, you're a woman. How are you equal?
I think that men and women should be equal. So my view is that we should each have kind of an equal power in a relationship.
Meaning what? Equal power. When you say that, what do you mean by that?
Like, we work together, and if we disagree on something, we find a compromise so that we're both happy versus one person having the final say.
Would you ever obey him?
Obey to me sounds like someone with their dog. How would you define obey?
Obey your husband. Follow him. Take his corrections. Obey him.
I feel like following and taking his corrections are part of having a healthy relationship, but I also think that he should, in the same way, listen. If I have a correction, listen. And I think if two people listen to each other and make sure that they're both on the same page at the end of an argument, then I guess if they both kind of obey each other, that's a healthy relationship.
So you think he should obey you?
I think we should obey each other. I don't think I should have more power than him. I think we should be equal.
Really?
Yeah.
And you really think, but women are real emotional and illogical.
Oh, I think men are pretty emotional.
Would you want a man to be that way?
I think there are a lot of men that are a little emotional.
Right, you are. You're such a millennial man. You're absolutely right. But would you want your husband to be that way, emotional and illogical?
I don't think I'd want anyone to be illogical because it's kind of hard to if people aren't rational and logical, it's kind of hard to cooperate with them,
Right, absolutely. Yeah. And that's why it's so difficult for men to cooperate with women because they're so illogical. They're so emotional. Am I right?
I think men are also illogical and emotional. I think it depends on the person.
But how about women?
I think there are some women that are illogical and emotional.
Have you ever met a logical woman?
Yeah.
Who?
Most of the women I'm friends with are very logical.
Like who?
Like my friends. People I spend time with.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing, huh? And so you believe that you are equal to a man?
Yes.
Does your boyfriend, does he tell you his problems?
Yeah, he comes to me if he's facing something, and I'll give him advice, and he'll do the same for me.
How do you feel about that?
I feel that's, in my mind, that's a healthy relationship of having your partner's back, supporting them, and if they're going through something, being there for them.
How will you be able to look up to a man that would tell you his problems and look up to you for the answers? How will you look up to a man? Because that's a beta male. Will you consider that a beta male?
I don't think so. I think having someone who listens to you is part of a healthy relationship. I think there are issues right now where, if two people aren't listening to each other, it's really hard to successfully have a long-term relationship. Just even in at home or at work, if you're not communicating in a healthy way and listening to each other, it's very hard to maintain that.
And so you are able to help him when he comes to you with his problems?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So is he beta or alpha?
I mean, how do you define beta and how do you define alpha?
A beta male would never go to his woman with his problem, right? An alpha male will. Is he beta or alpha?
I see that's what's equal to me because from how you're describing it, it sounds like beta is below me, but I don't see him as below me.
But based on my definition of a beta male.
Then I guess in your definition, he would be beta.
And do you see him as beta or alpha?
I see him as alpha because he's someone who makes his own choices and chooses his own destiny.
But he doesn't lead you.
He leads me, but I lead him. It's equal.
How did you become this way? What made, are you a liberal?
I think I'm relatively liberal. I grew up really conservative, and I kind of, as I experienced the world, I became more liberal.
You did?
Yeah.
Conservative meaning what?
I grew up Republican, and then I became a Democrat when I was older.
What made you switch?
I felt like there was a lot of hatred, and growing up, I was a very moderate Republican, and I think I'm still relatively moderate today, but a little bit, like if there's a line between Republican and Democrat, I was here, and now I'm like a little bit over the line. But what made me switch is there was just a lot of like hateful rhetoric that didn't feel very inclusive. And for me, you know, my first rule about like treat others the way you want to be treated,
Right.
there was a lot of like anger, and I didn't really like that anger. And so for me, that kind of put me over the edge.
So at the time you were conservatives, are you saying that the conservatives were angry or the liberals were angry?
When I was growing up, I would say the liberals were angry. And then I'd say like with the rise of Trump, I think that there was a shift where then the Republicans really became angry. And so a lot of that kind of like vitriol and hatred towards others made me feel less comfortable with the direction the party was going in.
And so you switched party because the conservatives were angry.
Mainly because Trump had different views than I felt my views were growing up as a Republican. My views growing up as a Republican, you know, were about family and about love and forgiveness. And I didn't really feel that Trump represented that. And so that was
Really?
kind of where
Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, I am hopeful with a lot of his economic policies. I think he's doing a lot of things that kind of needed to be done, especially like cost cutting.
Yeah.
So I'm very hopeful with this term, his focus on economics. That to me is something that's important. Even if I'm a Democrat, I think that's important.
And when you come back home, when he's done, when you come back home?
If the party kind of it doesn't go more in his direction, I think I would consider becoming a Republican again.
But it's going all the way in his direction.
Yeah, so that's where I'm like, hard pass.
Do you love Trump?
No,
You don't love him?
no.
And why not?
I think that he has a lot of hateful views and a kind of bullying people and a lot of his like social issue stuff I don't feel is inclusive or loving and warm, and that's where I kind of like.
Really? Your boyfriend, is he liberal or conservative?
Liberal.
Oh, God. You don't have a chance.